money and safety during National Consumer Protection Safety Week.
County Prosecutor Mike O'Malley says they're now seeing up to 50 cases of elder abuse and fraud a year.
So now they're holding public meetings to let people know the warning signs of some of these trending financial crimes.
Like power of attorney abuse. Consumer reporter Jen Pachano has more.
It's most often a crime committed against criminals' own family members, power of attorney abuse. An elderly person is unable to handle day-to-day finances, so somebody close to them steps in and takes over as power of attorney. But they then abuse that power and drain the bank accounts they have access to. Andrew Rogalski is with Cuyahoga County's Economic Crimes Unit. He says 90% plus of these power of attorney arrangements are legitimate. But lately, a number of cases are coming to them through suburban detectives.
Where after months go by, they'll check, or another family member will check their bank account, and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars are missing.
He says these cases are extremely difficult because it often pits family members against family members and requires a loved one to go to a local police department and make a report against someone they know and trusted. County Prosecutor Mike O'Malley says the fraud and abuse doesn't usually end with theft from bank accounts.
You know, oftentimes people who may be drug dependent are taking their credit cards out in a loved one's name, you know, without those people knowing, and accumulating a large, significant amount of debt in somebody else's name. And that we have seen several times as well this past year.
The criminals behind these cases of fraud aren't foreign, faceless con artists working scams from behind keyboards across the globe, but they are targeting the same trusting population of seniors. Prosecutors say people with power of attorney arrangements need to be vigilant and have multiple people, including themselves, take a regular look at their accounts to make sure nothing fraudulent is going on.
To report fraud or financial exploitation, go to your local police department or your local Adult Protective Services office. You can also talk to the Attorney General's Elder Justice Unit, the Ohio Department of Aging, or Pro Seniors, which is a nonprofit that provides free legal and long-term care assistance to older adults. Jen Pachano, 19 News.